Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is Outer Quadash from One Nation, One Power. I want to give all glory, honor, and praise where praise is due to the Most High God, Ahaya Ashah Ahaya, which is written in Exodus chapter 3, verse 13 and 14, and his son, who people call Jesus Christ, which his name is Yeshaya in the Hebrew, and the Ruach Quadash, which is the Holy Spirit in Hebrew. And I'm coming to you with another lesson, another little breakdown. And this lesson is going to be on, because we have in both sticks instances that the people wanted a king over them. And I'm going to point out how the Most High felt about this, how the people wanted kings over them. And this is not to say that Yeshaya ain't going to be our king, but he is going to be our king. And he was granted that opportunity for his obedience to the Father. And the Father gave him a 1,000-year reign to be our king. And then he going to give it to the Father after the 1,000 years. But the Most High never wanted us to have a king over us. And we're going to go into the second stick and the first stick. And I'm going to explain this. All right, so let's get right into it. We're going to go to Mosiah chapter 29. And we're going to start at verse 16, brothers and sisters. Verse 16. So let's go to Mosiah. Let me move this real quick. Mosiah chapter 29 and verse 16. And it reads, Now I say unto you that because all men are not just, it is not expedient that you should have a king or kings to rule over you. Why was it? Because all men are not just, brothers and sisters. That's what we got to understand. All men are not just. Verse 17. For behold, how much iniquity does one wicked king cause to be committed? Yea, and what great destruction. So just by having one wicked king, how much destruction comes from it, brothers and sisters? You go back to Antiochus Epiphanes, the wicked root, when you read in the book of Maccabees, how much destruction he brought, right? Just by having a king. Let's keep going. Verse 18. Yea, remember King Noah. This is another Noah, okay? This wickedness and his abomination, and also the wickedness and abomination of his people. Because if he was walking in wickedness, his people are going to walk in wickedness. This is the danger of having an unjust king. And sometimes you'll have a just king. Let's keep going. Behold, what great destruction did come upon them, and also because of their iniquities, they were brought into bondage. And were it not for the inner position of their all-wise Creator, talking about the Most High, and this because of their sincere repentance, they must unavoidably remain in bondage until now. Verse 20. But behold, he did deliver them because they did humble themselves before him, and because they cried mightily unto him, he did deliver them out of bondage. And thus does the Lord work with his power in all cases among the children of men, extending the arm of mercy towards them that put their trust in him. You see, when you have a king over you, or a wicked king, you start following that king. And this was the instant right here. But the people of the Most High repented, and his arm of mercy was extended because they started putting their trust in him again. Let's keep reading. Verse 21. And behold, now I say unto you, you cannot dethrone any iniquities, king, save it be through much contention and the shedding of blood. So now you just can't remove that king. Because why? Because there's going to be much contention and shedding of blood. Come on out of here. You just can't dethrone it. This king is not just going to be removed, brothers and sisters. That's what he's saying. Let's go to the first stick real quick. Let's go to the first stick. Okay, and I'm just showing you the Most High never wanted a king over us. All right. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 8. 1 Samuel chapter 8. First Samuel chapter 8. And we are going to, let's start at verse 1, brothers and sisters. We're going to read this whole chapter. This is 1 Samuel chapter 8 and verse 1. And it came to pass, when Samuel was old, that he made his son judges over Israel. He did what? He made his sons judges over Israel. Now, the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second, Abinai. They were judges in Beersheba. Verse 3. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgments. You see that? You got to have righteous judges. He picked his sons, and his sons took bribes, took money, and perverted judgments. When you become a judge, you must be no respecter of persons, no matter if it's your friend or as a stranger. You must judge accordingly. No respecter of persons. That's why the Most High is no respecter of persons in judgment. You must take on that same attitude. Verse 4. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah. Verse 5. And said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us all the nations, like all the nations. They wanted to be like the other nations. Let me read that again. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. So we were the only people that didn't have a king over us. All the other nations had kings. Okay, this is where you get presidents. All this stuff. We never had a king. We just held up the laws of the Most High, judging the people in righteousness. Okay? But right here, they were doing it in unrighteousness, taking bribes, doing perverting judgments. So the people got tired. So let's keep reading verse number 6, excuse me. But the thing displeased. It did what? It displeased Samuel. When they said, give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. He did what? He went into prayer. He said, I got to pray about this. And the Lord said unto Samuel, hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee. For they what? For they have not rejected you, Samuel. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me. They what? But they have rejected me. That's what you're doing when you want a king over you. You're rejecting the Most High God. That I should not reign over them. That I should what? Not reign over them. Let's keep reading. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and serve other gods. So do they also unto thee. That's what we do. Ever since the days of Egypt, we're doing the same thing. Look around, serving other gods, forsaking his ways, his commandments, putting our trust in men, and we're forgetting about the Most High. Let's keep going. Now therefore hearken unto their voice. Howbeit, yet protest a solemn assembly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. And Samuel told all the people, all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself. So Samuel telling him, he's going to take your sons and appoint them to himself. Come on out of here. And appoint them for himself and for his chariots and to be his horsemen. And some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over 50, and will set them to hear his ground and to reap his harvest and to make his instrument of war and instrument of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confederates, and to be and to be bakers, cooks and bakers. And he will take your fields, your vineyards, and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. So this is what happens when you get a king. And he will take the tenth of your seed and your vineyard, and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your manservants and your maidservants and your goodly young men and your asses, and put them to work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And you shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you. And the Lord will not hear you in that day. And the what? And the Lord will not hear you in that day. The Lord turned his face from us, brothers and sisters, because we decided to have a king. You hearing me? Nevertheless, the people refuse to obey the voice of Samuel, and they say, nay, but we will have a king over us. That's what they do to the real prophets. They don't hear them. That we also may be like all the nations, that we may be like the other people of the world, and that our King may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, hearken unto their voices, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, go ye every man unto his city. That's how the Most High feels about that, brothers and sisters. I'm just pointing it out. I'm showing you. Ain't nothing new under the sun. What's going on right now, Most High don't like it, especially for his people. Let's go back. Mosiah 29:22. And it reads, for behold, he has his friends in iniquity, and he keepeth his guards about him, and he teareth up the laws of those who have reigned in righteousness before him. This is talking about kings, unrighteous kings. And he trampled under his foot the commandments of God. This is how unrighteous kings reign. That's what they first take down, the commandments of God. And he enacts laws and sendeth them forth among his people. Yea, laws after the manner of his own wickedness. You see that? And whosoever does not obey his laws, he causes to be destroyed. And whosoever does rebel against him, he will send his armies against them to war. Start war because they ain't listening. And if he can, he will destroy them. And thus an unrighteous king does pervert the ways of all righteousness. And now behold, I say unto you, it is not expedient that such abomination should come upon you. Therefore choose you by the voice of this people judges, that you may be judged according to the laws which have been given you by our fathers, which are correct, and which were given them by the hand of the Lord. So now he's saying the same thing that Samuel was doing. Choose you judges, righteous judges, right? But in the time of Samuel, his own judges, his own son were the judges. And they were taking bribes, perverting the way of the Lord. But we're going to get to that. Verse 26. Now it is not common that the voice of the people desire anything contrary to that which is right. Come on out of here. But it is common for the lesser part of the people to desire that which is not right. It is what? Let's read it again. Contrary to that which is right. But it is common for the lesser part of the people to desire that which is not right. Therefore, this shall ye observe, and make it your law, to do your business by the voice of the people. Verse 27. And if the time comes that the voice of the people does choose iniquity, they what? They choose iniquity. They come together and they choose abortions. They choose homosexual marriages. Come on out of here. Then is the time that the judgment of God will come upon you. Yea, then is the time he will visit you with great destruction, even as he has hitherto visited this land. And now if you have judges, and they do not judge you according to the law which have been given, you can cause that they may be judged of a higher judge. You see that? So if the judges ain't doing their job by the laws of heaven, you got to get judges over them to judge them. That's how it goes. Let's keep going. If your higher judges do not judge righteous judgment, you shall cause that a small number of your lower judges should be gathered together, and they shall judge your higher judges according to the voice of the people. Now, if your higher judges ain't judging right, you get the lower judges. Verse 30, and I command you, come on out of here, to do these things in the fear of the Lord. And I command you to do these things, and that you have no king, that you what? That you have no king. That if these people commit sin and iniquity, they shall be answered upon their own head. That's what he wants. For behold, I say unto you, the sins of many people have been caused by the iniquity of their kings. You see that? Unrighteous kings. Therefore, their iniquities are answered upon their heads of their kings. That's the responsibility that's going to happen to that king. And now I desire that this iniquity or inequality should be no more in this land. And what? In this land, especially among this my people. What? Especially among this my people, children of Israel. But I desire that this land be a land of liberty, and every man must enjoy his rights and privileges alike, so long as the Lord seeth fit, that we may live and inherit the land. Yea, even as long as any of our prosperity remains among the face of the land. And many more things did King Mosiah write unto them, unfolding unto them all the trials and troubles of a righteous king. Yea, see, all the troubles of a righteous king. Okay, he was like, man, this is a lot. Yea, all the travails of soul of their people, and also all the murmuring of the people and of their king. And he explained it all unto them. And he told them that these things ought not to be, but that the burden should come upon all the people, that every man might bear his part. Verse 35, and he also unfolded unto them all the disadvantages they labor under by having an unrighteous king to be over them. I'm going to jump down to verse 38, or 36, excuse me. Let's keep going. Yea, all his iniquities, this is an unrighteous king. Yea, all his iniquities and abominations, and all the wars and contentions and bloodshed, and the stealing, and the plundering, and the committing of whoredoms, and all matters of iniquity which can be enumerated, telling them that these things ought not to be, that they were expressly repugnant to the commandments of God. I'm jumping down to verse 38. Therefore, they relinquished their desire for a king, and because expediently astonished that every man should have an equal chance throughout all the lands, yea, and every man expressed a willingness to answer for his own sins. So that's what the Most High wants, because the sins are going to fall on that king. But he wants every man to answer for his own sins. That's why he wanted judges over them, righteous judges. Therefore it came to pass that they assembled themselves together in bodies throughout the land, to cast in their voices concerning who should be their judges. to judge them according to the law which had been given them. And they were exceedingly joyful because of the liberty which had been granted unto them. Come on out of here. I'm going to stop right there. Brothers and sisters, with everything going on right now, with his election, Most High never wanted us to do that. Never wanted us to vote. Never wanted us, he wanted us to trust in him. And Samuel knew this. Mosiah knew this. Two prophets of the Most High God. Two witnesses. The Book of Mormon and the Bible. So I just wanted to give this lesson, give this brief understanding that the Most High wanted our sins to come on our own head. Because if we had a king, all the sins would go on him. If he made a wrong move, it's like David. When he sinned, everything came on him. Most High wanted to have judges over us. But we will have a king over us, a righteous king, Yeshua. But during his time, they wanted him to reign at that time. But he told them his time is not yet. But the Father is going to give, because he fulfilled his will and didn't sin, and his heart was right. He's the only king that can reign over us, brothers and sisters. The only one. And then he going to give it to the Father, the true king, the King of Kings. I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to the Most High God, Ahaya, in the name of Yeshua. So be it.